Hello, everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of Tea and Timbits. I am one of your hosts, Andy, coming to you with a nice flowery, summery shirt on in the United Kingdom, and Scott's over in Canada in his summer cottage by the looks of it. Is that right?
Indeed, indeed. Hello, everybody. I'm your other host, Scott, coming to you lakeside from cottage country north of Toronto.
Fantastic. A little bit jealous of that, actually. It must be wonderful now at the end of July in your summer
It's
cottage.
quite nice at the moment, yes.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, welcome everyone, as I said, to Tea and Timbits, global perspectives on business development to help you prosper. This is a bonus episode as part of our series that we were hosting in July. We realized there was actually 5 Wednesdays in July, so we had to come up with an extra episode. And this episode actually is going to be a good one. It's going to be about strategic partnerships. And today, Scott is going to tell us a story.
You know, it's always risky to declare how good it's going to be, right? All right, we'll let everybody
afterwards if we need to.
yeah, we'll let everybody comment and complain. Well, yeah. So you know, we in a recent episode we were getting into a bit more of a discussion about partnerships and strategic alignment in that sense, and so on that theme, I just thought I would share the experience that I've been having over the past 6 months or so, and then that will probably lead into more of our topic today. At work at Flywheel, we have been developing a new vendor partnership, a new software partnership. We use different platforms to implement solutions. A lot of them are custom, but a lot of them sort of are based on a pre-existing infrastructure. So we've got a new one, and we're working more on developing our e-commerce service offering. The reflections on that have been really interesting. It was, it's often, and we've explored many different partnerships over the years, and they sort of come and go, and we're actively considering a few others as well in different spaces. I think I'm getting too much into the topic, so let me come back to my story, which is the fact that it can often it felt like a real sort of false start. And there was all this enthusiasm, and you sign the agreement, and then you're kind of both parties expecting something, and the learning there, I guess, and maybe we'll get into this more, is it's so much more than just kind of agreeing to be partners, and we kind of moved forward from that initial launch milestone, I think, without that necessary alignment. And it's taken, I would say, about 6 to 8 months to finally just kind of come back around to where I feel we've now kind of arrived at a true starting point, because it everybody was kind of doing their own thing to get this going. And it took that long to realize that we weren't even on the same page, but we're still moving in the same direction. So I'm hesitating to kind of get into those details because I think they'll come out in the conversation. But I think, I guess, the point of the story there is you need to be thinking well beyond sort of just the contract, and partnerships are different than client engagements where you're really clear about the ask and the need and the deliverable, and it almost needs to be treated that way. So I'm sure that sort of seeds some thoughts for where our conversation can go.
Oh, definitely, and I think it does lead very nicely into the the topic of strategic partnerships. But before we do get into that, what are you hoping that the people will get out of this discussion?
Yeah, so I guess it sort of falls naturally from that story, which is being very intentional and deliberate about those expectations, being quite brutally honest about what your own purpose for developing the partnership is. If I don't tell my counterpart, my partner, my new partner, what I want for myself, it's going to be very hard for them to help you get there. And if they're not going to align with that, then the partnership's not based in a true value, and you want them to tell you the exact same thing. So it's about being totally clear about those kinds of expectations and purpose, and also what you are willing to bring and what you expect from the other party.
Okay.
What do you think? Is there another take on this from your perspective?
No, I think I'm aligned with that. I think the key thing that we need to focus on, of course, is why. Why should we have partnerships? What is
Good point.
the
Yeah.
value of having a strategic partnership? I mean, why can't you do everything yourself?
Well, why don't we start there? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I have my own answers to that question, but why would you
So do I.
say?
I mean, it's in my perspective, it's there is a lot of value in strategic partnerships, but again, as you have mentioned very clearly, that it needs to be a partnership. It needs to be that you're both on the same page, that you're both going towards the same direction, you're both clear on the goals and the outcomes and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think partnering with a company that's too close and too similar to what it is that you already do doesn't necessarily add value, but it's also not necessarily a negative thing, because I think that can sometimes contribute to innovation, creativity, improved delivery times, improved service levels, and so on to a particular customer in a particular segment. But in my opinion, a strategic partnership is more about growing your business and their business by accessing new markets, different customer segments that you wouldn't otherwise have, and that would require massive investment and education in order to do so otherwise.
Right. And I would absolutely. I mean, I think that's why we're exploring several partnerships at the moment is one, how can we broaden our service base? And if these other businesses exist, it's because there's a market demand for whatever product or service they deliver, and then how can we enter that ecosystem, bringing with us something unique and special that doesn't exist in that ecosystem already. If we're just going to go and become another one of those implementation partners or service delivery agencies and get lost in the crowd, it's not. I mean, there might be a huge market for it, fine, and you just kind of tack it on as another credential. But I think where the true value is are the ones where you've got something special that is unique, and together, you're worth more than
Well,
the
exactly.
individual
Where
parts.
you're complementing each other, and where your strengths, complement their weaknesses, and vice versa, of course.
And so I think in our case we come out with a true articulation of our capacity, kind of punch above our weight. We're trying to get involved in larger ecosystems as well, and we know how to engage those audiences and how to market and sell into those customers and those prospects in a way that a lot of the existing partners are don't do, or they've just become complacent because they've been in the ecosystem for so long, and they're like, okay, yeah, we know how to implement this product, or we know how to solve this problem, and we've done it a million times before. And for them, it's rote and routine, and they're just going to get the next deal that comes through. Whereas we come in and say, well, we need to fight for it. We need to earn it. We need to help you raise your profile and up your game and show value and market this honestly, but sensationalize it and really show where that value is and how prospects can benefit from this and how it can belong to an even larger ecosystem.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, when we're looking for those kinds of partnerships where that isn't happening as well as there's lots of other agencies and people doing that well, but I find it's actually not nearly as common as you would expect.
Yeah. So one of the things there, of course, can be that as you're going into these new partnerships, even in an existing partnership, but ideally from the outset, that you're sort of establishing these clear communication channels, you're defining the roles, setting measurable goals and KPIs, so that you can all be very clear on what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, who does what, who's prioritizing what. And of course, that then helps to keep things moving forward. It helps to keep the momentum going, and it also allows the creativity to sort of flow still as well, because you're sort of staying in your lane, but that you've got the backing of another company, another partner in your in your toolkit, who's got these extra skills, who's working towards the same goal, who's complementing what you're doing, who's there. And and I think, again, if you all just remain, I'm going to use the word agile, and willing to adapt, then you've got that ability to really address the market in a new way, and stay ahead of the game. I think, as you said, that sometimes you can end up in these partnerships, and it's just you're still in a partnership because you're in a partnership and you've always been in a partnership, but there's no real purpose to it anymore.
Right.
And that's where these clear goals, clear communication channels, and willingness to innovate together can be really, really valuable.
So that's what you have to filter for is okay, so listen, we come into new partnerships with basically this offering for the partnership. We can execute this way, we can market this way, we can engage this way, we can sell this way, we can implement this way, and that has to be clearly articulated from the outset so that the other person, the other party in the partnership, can hopefully honestly say, yeah, that will be unique, that's great, that's the energy we're looking for, that's a partner we would like to have, come on in. Or they might say the opposite, which we've come across, which is, well, I don't like, without you having an existing sort of book of record and client base that we can access and sell into, it doesn't sound like you're bringing us prospects. I don't think it's the right time for this partnership. A lot of times we get into these conversations, and I don't know if this is unique to the tech space, I'm sure it's not, where the partnership expectation is swapping account lists. And that's what it's all about, and then we're just going to go down each other's list and sail off into the sunset.
But which you're not offering any real value, are you? Not to your customers or to each other. That's an address book attitude. Well,
and you hear these platitudes and these disingenuous comments and commitments, and then you get that. Well, so then now let's do some account mapping, like, on the second call. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And then the second thing is enablement. It's like, well, we enter a larger ecosystem, a platform or a technology partners space, and they want the certainty and the reassurance that we technically have the capabilities to sell, support, implement their solution. So then before the partnership can even be signed, they want to see certifications and training and a commitment to learning the platform, which I totally understand where they're coming from, but that is so premature. If you can't evaluate our technical capabilities to innovate, learn, solve problems, accelerate our skill set as needed, and you're looking just for a specialty here, they think it's an obvious thing that this should come first. I'm like, yeah, but where's the market? Where's job number one? I'm not going to commit to any of that before we can see. So it's a bit confusing to me. I see in the market some of that's changing because they can't just insist on that like they once could. So we had a really great conversation with somebody else the other day that explained that they do just-in-time enablement. They're like, yes, we're going to work on getting some market development going. We are aware that even if you start a conversation with a prospect, it's months before they commit. Once they commit, it's weeks before you're even in a place where you need any technical capabilities to do the platform, because you've got to be doing strategy and planning and design. So, as long as you're ready to pull the trigger to get that enablement and training done, once it becomes a hot opportunity, and at least by the time the initial agreement is signed, we will be there to hold your hand and help you and back you up on the first job, because we want it to be successful. But we appreciate the fact that, you're not going to want to divert billable resources to train on something that may never come to fruition.
Oh, that's right. And I think the key is being aligned on that vision, isn't it? It's that you are complementing each other and you're pushing together to achieve new goals. You're not, it's not one partner who's benefiting entirely from accessing the other's information.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mutual partnership. It's a partnership, and if you can carefully select your partners and sort of establish clear goals and maintain open communication, you can realistically achieve a lot more together than you could do on your own. I think obviously that's what a lot of people see, but they're trying to cut corners in doing this and establishing these relationships. And rather than actually establishing a relationship, it's like sending out a first contact to someone on LinkedIn and saying, let's meet for a coffee.
Let's have a call.
No, thanks.
Well, I think that's a good point too, is like I've talked about sort of the fundamental structure and approach and whatnot, but you do at some point get to the tactics of managing an opportunity and selling in a solution. And I think it is important up front to get clarity on how you each do that. I've got situations where it's a very collaborative approach, and our approach works with their approach and vice versa, and we can trust each other, and we can get on the call together, and we can debrief together. And then I've been in other situations where we're very far apart on how that actual sales process is executed. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't do it together. No. Okay, fine. If I get a lead, I'm going to work it. If you get a lead, you work it. If I can help you or send some collateral over or hop on a call, fine. But we're so different in how we see an opportunity progressing that there's too much tension if we try to collaborate on that part of the process. So we just agree, fine. In the market, we show up with the same virtues and values, but the actual opportunity is a little bit more independent.
Yeah, no, and you do see that working quite well in the market. I mean, it's not uncommon for software companies to partner with hardware companies, for example.
Right.
Both have very, very different approaches, very different sales models, very different setup in how to engage with their customer base. However, that partnership of creating an enhanced product for their
value stream
is an additional value to their end customer anyway. So that partnership takes place behind the scenes, not necessarily in front of the customer, although of course the customer does recognize the fact that there has been there is a partnership there, because that's what they see when they get it. But it depends how they access that. It could be through the software company. It could be through the hardware company. It's the same, see it quite a bit over here in the UK. You've got fitness brands co-branding with sort of health drinks. So, creating a sort of a product and a solution that appeals to different markets. People who are going out and looking for a particular clothing brand go, that clothing brand that I like to wear, they also do a healthy drink I can use after the gym. Oh, that's great. Then I'm going to look uniformed. And then other people who go, that drink, that's with that brand. Oh, I like their clothes as well. Oh, I'll engage that. So it does work, but it's again, you're tapping into different markets. You are accessing a wider pool of customers, but you're not doing it directly. You're not going, here's my contact book, please reach out to me. That's not adding any value to the customer, not adding any value to each of the partners. But if you can create something together, if you can enhance your offering to the end customer, and whether that's business to consumer or business to business, as we focus on, the partnership adds a lot more value to everybody. And I think that's key is being very clear about what your message is and what your goals are and what your expectations are from each other. And I think it can work that way. Even though you've got very different corporate cultures, you've got very different ways of approaching things. You've got very different people on board.
You might have, in that case, you might have different supply chains and distribution channels and all that kind of stuff. What do you think? Do you think we've added any value here, Andy? What are your takeaways?
I think so. I think it's easy to fall into the trap of going, oh, I don't want to partner with anyone because, if I do that, I'm watering down my offering. I'm watering down what I'm taking to the market. I'm not providing the full value that I'm trying to bring. Or why should I share that with that company that's technically a competitor?
Right.
Changing that mindset, rethinking that. If there's a clear goal and a clear approach to it, it doesn't have to be like a long-term, never-ending partnership on everything. As I say, I mean, the examples that I gave there, those are very specific things that you're sort of working on and that you're focused on, and it's adding value in one particular way, but it doesn't have to change your entire corporate offering. Your entire,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, market approach doesn't need to change because of it. It's a complement to it, and it should be a complement to it, and there should be a mutual benefit to everybody involved. Otherwise, maybe it's not worth doing. But
Well, I like
I
that
think it's
point.
important that people think about it and consider it, and that a strategic partnership is something that can add a lot of value and grow your business and grow your market without the big investment that's necessary in order to do so by doing it in-house.
And so just to sort of add on to that, I would summarize by including the fact that you do need to make sure that you're totally clear about what you're each going to bring and what
Absolutely.
you each expect of the other. And I like your comment there about timeline. Sometimes this can be campaign specific. Sometimes this can be product channel, sort of a unique sliver of how you approach the market, and sometimes it can be all encompassing.
Yeah.
And there's one of those is not necessarily better than the other. So
No, that's right. But it's just driving that mutual success, I think, is the key. And if it's not doing that anymore, then it's no longer a valuable partnership.
yeah, very good.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Scott. I'll let you get back to enjoying your summer. And to everyone else, if you want to get in touch with us or find out more, then visit tandtimbits.com, where you can find many ways to get in touch with us, and definitely subscribe to listen to many more episodes that are even more exciting than this one. Even if you can't imagine such thing, it's amazing. There's a great load of back catalogue of episodes there, and there's plenty more to come. Thanks very much, Scott.
Thanks, Andy. You're such a salesman. Well done. Take care, everybody.
Bye.